So students, welcome for this session of advanced macro facilities pertaining to macro preprocessor design. Okay, so we will today learn remaining 2-3 advanced macro facilities, and then we will move over to macro preprocessor design. So we were learning about expansion time loops. Some part we already discussed in the previous lectures. Now this is REPT statement. REPT, this is repeat. REPT indicates repeat. So the syntax is REPT expression. REPT followed by expression is the syntax. This will be constructing a loop. This should evaluate to a numerical value during expansion. It means that this particular loop should be executed integer number of times. The REPT and endem should be processed for expansion. REPT is just like certain loops. Okay, you are having some loops, do while. So do at the beginning and there is while at the end. So in the same manner, this REPT is followed by endem. REPT and then endem, it constructs a loop. There are two things. With REPT, it will start. With endem, it will end. So this should be processed for expansion. Expression number of times. So whatever is the expression, those many number of times the loop will get executed. The following macro declares 10 constants with value so and so. So we will see how that macro is doing. Const10 is the name of the macro. Const10 is the name of the macro. LCL ampersand M will declare M as expansion time variable, local variable inside the macro. So it is termed as expansion time variable. Now we are setting its value, we are initializing its value to 1 with the help of the set statement. So M becomes 1. REPT 10. Okay, some expression here directly 10 has been given. So 10 number of times the loop should be executed. Start after the statement REPT up to the statement endem. Remember, macro ends with emend statement, emend, and this is endem. Okay, so REPT ends with endem, whereas the macro ends with emend. Remember that specific difference. Now inside this REPT and endem, you will observe there are two statements, DC ampersand M. So it means declare constant ampersand M. Ampersand M is some variable, expansion time variable. Ampersand M set A ampersand M plus 1. Now this is just like parallel to set statement only, set A. It will increment value of M by 1. Now earlier M was 1, now it becomes 2 and it goes back, declares 2 as a constant, comes over here, increments M becomes 3, goes back, 10, it is not executed 10 times, so goes back, declares constant 3, declares constant 2, then declares constant 3, every time increments M by 1, so now M becomes 4, then declares constant 4, M becomes 5, declares constant 5, M becomes 6, so on and so forth up to 10. So it will declare the constants with value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10. Okay, and this is the only thing it is doing. So what it is doing? It is declaring 10 constants. 10 constants. This task has been performed inside the macro. This task has been performed inside the macro. Okay, so here you will observe only statement which is coming from the assembly language is DC statement. Rest all are the statements which should be only lying inside the macro, okay, which are termed as the macro preprocessor statements. It means that those are not coming into the expansion. Only the assembly statement will appear into the expansion. So every time it will be having declare constant 1, declare constant 2, declare constant 3, so on and so forth. 10 times it will appear in the expansion, and it will be declaring those 10 constants. I think it is clear. This is REPT loop, repeat loop, ends with endem. Remember, it ends with endem. It is different from end. End is macro end, and M is repeat statement is ending. So I hope this is a simple one. You must have understood that. Then there is one more statement, IRP. The syntax is IRP, formal parameter, followed by the argument list. IRP, formal parameters, argument list. Okay, we will see directly how the things are working. This statement also will have endem statement. This statement also will have endem statement. So IRP also ends with endem. Now, if you notice over here, const is the name of the macro, ampersand M is the formal parameter name. The first one should be the formal parameter, and then N and Z are the argument list. So N and Z. So actually M is the formal parameter and N and Z are the means when the parameters are passed, actual parameters, they will be N and Z. Okay, so IRP ampersand Z. Now see what happens if the call is const for 10. Const for 10. So N becomes 4 and Z becomes 10. N becomes 4 and Z becomes 10. So from 4 to 10, you have to execute. With what? With M as the parameter, formal parameter. Now, what it is doing? IRP ampersand Z. Here actually ampersand Z is the, I would say here in IRP statement, ampersand Z is the formal parameter. Const is having the list of the parameters. So there are 3 parameters, M, N and Z. And ampersand Z, earlier I said M as the formal parameter, sorry, it is IRP ampersand Z. So Z is the formal parameter. Now see what happens. It will be passing 3 values, const. So out of that, 1 will be the formal parameter. Now for 10, so M is 4 and N is 10. Okay, so ampersand Z will take value 4, then it will take value 7, and then it will take value 10. M is 4 and N is 10. So Z will take value 4, 7 and 10. Z will take values 4, 7 and 10. So what this statement will do? When it enters inside IRP, what happens? DC ampersand Z. So what it does? It declares the constant ampersand Z. I told you that Z is the formal parameter. Okay, so IRP statement will be having the formal parameter. So whatever is the formal parameter, that will take the remaining values. Okay, so Z will take the value 4 firstly, and firstly it will declare the constant 4. Okay, the loop ends, it goes back. Z will take the next value 7. Z will take the next value 7 and declare constant 7. Okay, declare constant 7. So 7 will be declared as a constant. Loop ends, it goes back, and Z takes value N. So remember, the formal parameter Z will be taking all the subsequent values, whatever you have listed in the IRP statement. So what we have listed in the IRP statement? M, 7 and N. So value of M is 4 and value of N is 10. So Z will take 4, 7 and 10, and it will declare the three constants 4, 7 and 10. Okay, I hope this is clear. This is a little different statement. IRP, formal parameter and argument list. The very first parameter in the IRP is the formal parameter, and this is passed with three parameters. The third parameter is not specified, so it becomes a formal parameter ampersand z, and z takes the value 4, 7 and 10. Okay, so it declares three constants 4, 7 and 10. Remember here also, this is the only model statement, means the assembly language statement. Remember, in the expansion of the macro, which all statements will appear? Whatever statements are coming from the assembly statement, they are termed as the model statements. So here, this is the only model statement, and rest all statements will vanish. What will appear in the expansion is declare constant 4, declare constant 7, and declare constant 10. I hope it is clear. This is the last thing which we will be learning in advanced macro facilities. Macro, create const, ampersand x, ampersand y. So create const is the name of the macro, and x and y are the parameters which we are passing to this macro. AIF, this is, I told you that AIF is parallel to the if statement. If it is appearing inside the macro, we call it as AIF. Okay, we attach the subscript A. You will observe many a time subscript or it may appear the prefix or the subscript at many places. So here it is appearing A as the prefix, AIX. In earlier steps, let me tell you one example. Here, the set A. So this is appearing as the subscript. Remember, so it is there inside the macro. The statement is specially observed inside the macro. Now, if type of x, I hope you remember in one of the advanced, very first thing we discussed about, there are three parameters which you can check for: size, type and length. Okay, so size, type and length of the parameter. So type of x is equals to b, means if x is a byte. If type of x is b, means if x is a byte, means incoming first parameter. Whatever is the actual parameter, from that it will check the first parameter. If the first parameter type is byte, then perform byte. Dot byte is the label inside the macro. So label inside the macro is prefixed by a dot operator. If it is byte, then it will jump to this step, anop. Anop means don't perform any operation, no operation. Okay, again, nop is there in assembly language, high level assembly. Even in electronics, you must have learned it. If it is prefixed by a, then it becomes the statement inside the macro. Okay, so anop, don't perform any operation. Why this anop is used over here? You will observe ampersand y declare byte 25. So what it is doing, if type of x is byte, then it is asking to jump to the step ampersand y, declare the second parameter as with the help of declare byte 25. Okay, so what it will do, it will declare the byte constant 25. It means it matches with the type of the first parameter. The second thing is declared based on the type of the first parameter. If it is byte, it is declared as a byte. If it is word, we will be declaring it as the word. Okay, so it is a byte constant. Now, if it is not, type of x is not byte, then it will go to this step. One thing I wanted to tell you, why that anop is used. You will observe what we want to do. It should go to this step, ampersand y. It should go to this step. But already there are three words, three things, means something is appearing in the label field. Something is appearing in the first column. Normally the labels we declare in the first column. So something is already appearing in the first column. So how to jump to this particular step? How will you say jump to this step where y has been declared? So there is no place over here, and so it is declared at the previous step, saying in this step there is no operation, but actually the operation is performed in the subsequent step. So it has to be, to come to this step, this particular dot byte label is used. Okay, I hope that is clear. When we see this, if it is not a byte, if type of X is not B, means it's not a byte, it might be a word. So what to do? Declare it as a word. Why? The second parameter should be declared as a word with value 25. Okay, and after that, AGO means it is same as go to statement, so it will be jumping to dot over mn, macro ends. So what this macro is doing? This macro creates a constant 25 with the name given by the second parameter y. Whatever is the actual second parameter, those are the formal parameters, but those are replaced by the actual parameters. So whatever is the actual second parameter, that will be created with that name, a second name, okay, actual parameter, it will be declared. And the type of the constant matches the type of the first parameter. The type of the constant will match with that of the first parameter. Okay, so that is what we are doing. Actually, this macro, if you observe, nothing will be there in the expansion, but it is still doing something. What it will be doing is nothing but it will be declaring a byte constant 25 or a word constant 25. Okay, so just declaration is done over here. There is nothing else. So the name is create constant. With that, we finish up with the advanced macro facilities. I think quickly I will revise which all advanced macro facilities we discussed. I think from there. So what we did, facilities for, there are three things. Those advanced macro facilities can be grouped into three things. One is facilities for alteration of flow of control during expansion. Second is expansion time variables. And the third is attributes of parameter. I hope you remember that type, length, and size are the attributes of the parameter. Expansion time variables, EVs, and alteration of flow of control. So many things we have learned. Expansion time sequencing symbols, facilities for alteration of flow of control. First thing is expansion time sequencing symbol. What is sequencing symbol? Nothing but dot followed by the ordinary string. It is nothing but the label inside the macro is termed as a sequencing symbol. Label inside the macro is termed as the sequencing symbol. How we give the label? Dot operator followed by the name of the label. Then there is AIF, AGO, and ANOP. Those are expansion time statements. If statement, AIF statement parallel to if. Expression, then sequencing symbol. If the expression is true, based on that, jump to the sequencing symbol, means jump to that label inside the macro. This expression is relational expression with ordinary string or formal parameters and their attributes. AGO statement is parallel to goto statement. AGO sequencing symbol means go to the label, specified label. ANOP, we just have seen the example of ANOP. Sequencing symbol ANOP. Always remember ANOP appears as in the second column. So firstly, there should be some sequencing symbol. There, just like we have done it dot byte or something, then followed by that ANOP. So that is how there are three such statements. Then expansion time variables can be declared with the help of LCL and GBL. LCL means local, GBL means global, EV means expansion time variable name. set will set the value of the expansion time variable. Okay, it will set the value of the expansion time variable. We have seen this set LCL db, declare byte. That db and dw are appearing inside the macro. Remember, normal assembly language, we are using DC and DS. Attributes of formal parameters. What is it? Length of A. Just now we have seen type of A or type of X. So it is used inside the AIF statement, and that apostrophe is used after that. Length or type or size is checked, okay, in the AIF statement. So based on that, you can jump to some label. Then the conditional expansion. Here typically we use AIF. We can check it. We discussed that the expansion of without, this is actually performing same as A minus B plus C. Okay. In some other macro, I think we had already discussed simple performance of this A minus B plus C. Or you can make use of the same thing inside the conditional expansion. So both ways it is possible. Whichever way you prefer, you can use it. See, in the expansion, what will appear here? Whatever are the model statements, only those will appear. Only the model statements will appear. Now, this is a simple macro, and this, what we discussed, the same thing can be written with the help of loops, expansion time loop, like this. So the expansion of this macro and expansion of this macro is the same, which is nothing but this. Okay. And today what we discussed, the REPT statement, which is having endem. REPT endem is the pair, and inside that whatever happens, it will get executed in an integer number of times. Then we discussed about IRP. IRP is having one formal parameter that takes all the values in the argument list. This first is the formal parameter. It takes all the values in the argument list. So M, 7 and N. M and N, whatever actual values are coming from the user, those values will be taken. So 4 and 10 are taken. 4, 7, 10. That's what we discussed. And here again we discuss some how to use that type inside the advanced macro facilities. Okay, so I hope all the advanced macro facilities and their expansion is you must have understood. Now we will see actually the design of a macro preprocessor. Program with macro definition and calls. This is a schematic for macro preprocessor. We are heading towards the design of a macro preprocessor. So any program with macro definitions and calls, so any assembly program with macro definitions and calls is fed as input to the macro preprocessor. Now what the macro preprocessor, as the name is preprocessor, what it does, it removes all the macros from it, macro calls. It will remove all the macro calls and it will expand all those macro calls and patch those expansions inside the assembly program. So this is done by the macro preprocessor. So this is generating the programs without program without macros. Okay, means this will be a purely assembly language program, no macros. So macros are processed first. So this particular software is said as preprocessor. Okay, works first prior to the assembler. Okay, so this is macro preprocessor. Its input is the assembly language program macros and the calls. It will eliminate all the macro calls and will find a simple assembly program. All those calls are there in the expanded version, will be there in the assembly program. Now this assembly program will be fed to the assembler. which will be generating the target code. Remember this particular thing, cylindrical thing. This is a very old fashioned symbol actually, but it is there still in use. This indicates on the secondary storage. It will store it under the secondary storage, and from there it may read the file and assembler will process it and the target code will be generated. Okay, we have discussed already the assembler. So you know what it will do. It will generate the code which is understandable by the machine. So target program is nothing but the program which is understandable to the machine. Now, actually what we are supposed to do, identify macro calls in the program. The preprocessor, we are talking especially about the preprocessor. Okay, because assembler, you know what to do, but what the macro preprocessor should do, its first task is to identify macro calls in the program. Okay, now how to identify the macro calls? It has to recognize the calls. For that, it has to record. See, at the beginning of the program, we are writing macro followed by the name of the macro. Macro prototype statement will appear. So in the macro prototype statement, the macro call name, sorry, the macro name will be there. So that macro name, we will be entering into the macro name table. This one corresponds to the step number 1. So identify macro calls in the program. So the data structure for that which we have to maintain is MNT, macro name table, where we have to record all the names of the macros, whichever number of macros are appearing. Remember how you recognize it is a macro. First statement will be macro and followed by that will be the name of the macro. So macro prototype statement. So as soon as you come across macro word keyword, then the second step should be the name of the macro. So record it into the MNT. Okay, write it into the MNT. And the macro ends with MN statement. Determine the values of the formal parameters. What are the formal parameters? It has to be recorded into the parameter table. Okay, into the parameter table. So we will be maintaining actual parameter table and the formal parameters, total things we will be maintaining. The first formal parameter should be replaced by the first actual parameter. The second formal parameter should be replaced by the second formal actual parameter, so on and so forth. What if there are keyword parameters? There should be equals to sign. So it indicates the sequence need not be followed. The whatever is specified in the equals to sign, that should be followed. So firstly, it has to recognize if the parameters are the keyword parameters or the formal parameters and go on recording all those parameters into the table. Okay, this table, whatever we have written, actual parameters table. Now, maintain the values of expansion time variables. We just have learned so many things about expansion time variables. Those are the variables which are declared inside the macro body. So those names like LCL and GBL statements, so those names should be giving us the expansion time variables. So record all those things in the expansion time variable table. Okay. Organize expansion time control flow. Now, how this will do it? For this reason, expansion time control flow. So it should record the body of the macro. That is from the third step. First step is macro statement. Second step is the prototype statement. And the third step, okay, the first step is the macro name. We have already recorded it into this MNT table. The first step. Okay, the parameters we have recorded in as the formal parameters and actual parameters in some tables. Okay, like actual parameter table. Now we move to the third step. Third step is the actual macro body starts from the third step. So what we do, we go on writing the third step up to the amend statement into a table, namely the macro definition table. Have you understood? The first macro statement we just skipped. It is simply indicating the next statement coming is the macro definition. Okay, so the second step is the macro name. So that we record into MNT, the parameters we record in different tables, formal parameters, actual parameters. And now we move over to the third step. What we do? Organize the expansion time control flow. So the third step, up to the amend statement, every statement we should write into the MDT, macro definition table. Third step to the amend step, all in between, including amend step, we should write into the MDT. Why including amend? Suppose there are multiple number of macros. So how do you recognize where the first macro is starting and where it is ending, and where the second macro is starting and where it is ending? We have to signify its end. The start is the third statement, but the end is the amend statement. Okay, so those things we will be recording into the macro definition table. Determine the values of sequencing symbols. Sequencing symbols, you know, the labels inside the macros we have to record. Those are written into a table, namely SS tab, sequencing symbol table. Perform expansion of the model statement. Now, whatever are the model statements, only those should appear in the expansion. So we have to go with the flow and trace which all are the model statements, and if there are anything like repeat or whatever facilities are AIF, AGO, anything can be used. So you need to recognize how to pick up only the model statements, how many number of times it is appearing, whatever things, it should be pasted in the perform expansion. Actual expansion should be done. So now it becomes a trivial task. Why? Because MEC is a macro expansion counter. Anything to perform, we should have some pointer. Just like for the assembler, we had used the PC, program counter, or LC, location counter. Both are the same. So here we will be using MEC, macro expansion counter. This points to the MDT entry. Now this pointer is pointing to the entry into the MDT table. Third step to amend statement. So which step is you are considering? Which step actually you are considering? The MEC points towards that thing. Values of formal parameters and EVs are available in APT and EVT respectively. So actually we will learn ahead. There are some more things we need to understand. APT means APT, actual parameters table. EVT means expansion time variable table. Model statements are available, and obviously with the help of this SST, sequencing symbol table, we will process those model statements. So whatever I had represented in the earlier slide, the same thing is represented over here, for which task, which you can say the name table should be created. So identify macro call, MNT should be created, macro name table. The macro names are entered over here. Determine the values of the formal parameters, AP tab, formal parameter name and its value. Sometimes we are can have the default values also. So anything, whatever is there, keyword parameter, formal parameter, everything should be there. Maintain expansion time variables. So this is done in the EV tab, EV name and value. Organize expansion time control flow, MDT, body of the macro, third step to amend. Again and again, I'm stressing on this, that third step to amend should be written in MDT. Determine values of the sequencing symbol. So this is to be done with the help of SS tab. Now for MDT, along with MDT, we should make use of this MEC, a macro expansion counter. This is used for expansion of a model statement. Okay, so that is how different tables. Apparently looking here, I'm just giving you 5 or 6 tables, but remember, my dear friends, there are actually 9 tables of the macro. So we will see macro expansion. Okay, clear mem, that is the name of the macro. X n ampersand reg equals to areg. So have you recognized the type of the parameter? X is the formal parameter. In, all three actually are the formal parameters, but X is a positional parameter, N is also a positional parameter, and the third one is keyword parameter with default value as areg. I hope you remember, if we are having keyword parameters, you can pass less number of parameters to the macro. Okay, the whatever is not specified is this value will be considered areg. If you are not specifying reg, then the value of reg will be considered as areg. If you are specifying some value, that value will be considered. LCL ampersand m ampersand, this is local m, ampersand m set 0, value of m is set to 0. Move ampersand reg equals to 0. So reg, which register you are using, whichever is coming to you. If nothing is coming, use areg. So in that areg, we are moving 0. Dot more is the sequencing symbol. Move m ampersand reg ampersand x plus ampersand m. So ampersand x plus 0. And what we are doing here, ampersand m set ampersand m plus 1. So x plus 0. Okay, we are moving 0. I think this macro we had already discussed. We are moving 0 to whatever is the first parameter. Then we are incrementing its value by 1, so it becomes m becomes 1. We are suppose the parameter is b, then we are setting value to b plus 0, b plus 1, and if this is to be performed 3 times, n is the number of times we should perform it. So AIF m not equals to n. If this value is 2, so not equals to 3, so go to dot more. So again, b plus 2 will be declared as initialized to 0. So b will be 0, b plus 1 will be 0, b plus 2 will be 0. Now m becomes 3. 3 is same as 3 n. So it should not go to dot more. The macro will end. Okay. Now we will just see small part after this. There are 9 tables, and in the next lecture I'm going to tell you how the postings are made into those 9 tables. So I think for today we should stop over here. Okay.